Look his face.
Yeah.
He's dangerous.
He's special.
You can
The guy is special. Everything that could possibly be special about this guy is special. A guy like this is the type of guy that you love to watch and follow, the most special guy that I've ever come across.
All right, hello and welcome back to the Pat McCorry Sports Show. Today we have UFC fighter Nathaniel Wood. How are you, man?
I'm very well, thank you, mate. I'm glad to be back in a fight camp. You know, obviously I got a fight date booked now after a long layoff with injury, so it's good to be back. And yeah, good to be chatting to you.
So let's go to before this fight. Let's go to the very beginning of your career. What made you get into MMA?
My original reasons for joining MMA, if I'm honest, was I just wanted to be an athlete. You know, I wanted to do that as a career. I think I was about 16 and I just started in the building industry. And I was sitting there thinking, I do not want to be doing this for the next 40 years of my life. And I've always believed, you know, do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And I just said to my dad, you know, I want to be an athlete. And at the age of 16, there's not many sports that you can start and make a career out of, whereas MMA was the kind of the new sport, you know, the one where people weren't getting into it until their 20s and they were making a career out of it. So, yeah, I was with my dad one day and I just said, Dad, I'm coming along to your jiu-jitsu classes, because he was a martial artist at the time as well. And yeah, I fell in love with it and I've been here ever since.
And for your entire career, you've trained with UFC legend Brad Pickett. So how has he helped you develop your game?
So Brad, I actually met about 5 years into my career. And he's helped massively. You know, obviously, he was fighting at the weight class that I'm competing at now. And he was, I think, ranked number 4th in the world at one point. So obviously to have someone as experienced as Brad, and especially when he's in the same weight class as well, you know, it's been huge. It's been, I've made huge improvements since being with him. And, you know, I'm still making improvements now. So I'm looking forward to what the future holds.
And you said you and Brad both fight at the same weight. So what is your weight outside of fighting and how tough is your weight cut?
So outside of fighting, I usually walk around at about 71 kilos, 72 kilos. That's me training, eating what I want, but reasonably, you know. I have actually ballooned up to about 76 kilos before, but that was coming back from traveling, you know, eating whatever I wanted. And so yeah, the cuts are tough. If I'm honest, I'm a sort of a good size bantamweight. You know, walking around about the same sort of weight other fighters are that compete in my weight category. So, you know, I wish we could all just shake hands and agree that no one cuts weight and then we wouldn't have to do it. But yeah, unfortunately, it's part of the game, and yeah, you know, it's got to be done.
Now, obviously, you've been champion before. You were a champion in Cage Warriors. What was it like being a champion in a big promotion like Cage Warriors? And are you used to the spotlight now?
So being a champion on Cage Warriors was amazing. Obviously, having the title world champion has always got a nice ring to it. Obviously, the UFC is a much bigger pond. The competition is obviously much more high level. But Cage Warriors, I think outside of the UFC, is one of the biggest promotions there is. So, you know, to be the world champ, to be the number one guy on their show in the bantamweight division, obviously shows that I'm ready to make it with the UFC division. So, you know, now I just got to climb them rankings, get into that top 10 position, and then start calling out names and trying to get a title shot.
Now, yeah, obviously you've just signed this fight. You're fighting March 19th back in London. So how excited are you to, after a long layoff, to finally get back in the cage and you get to do it in your hometown?
Amazing, mate. Honestly, I couldn't be happier. The fact that it'll be about a year and a half since I fought by the time I fight is not only killing my bank balance, but it's you know, it's not helping me with the motivation in training. You know, sometimes it's different when you've got an opponent in your mind. You know, just training every day for the sake of training can be a little bit boring sometimes. So, you know, I've now got an opponent, I've now got a date, and obviously with it being in my hometown, that gives me even extra motivation to bring my A game. So, you know, training's fun. It's a good laugh at the moment. It's a good vibe in the gym. So, you know, March 19th, I'm going to be coming in there the best athlete I can be.
Now, obviously, your opponent is Liudvik Sholinian. He was on the Ultimate Fighter and he's in the UFC. He has one fight. He fought a fellow British fighter, Jack Shore. So what are your thoughts on your opponent and how do you think you can win this fight?
So obviously my opponent, if I'm honest, I haven't seen much of him other than his fight with Jack Shore and one round that he's had in the Ultimate Fighter. But from what I've seen, he's a very high level wrestler, national champion or something. Like, I don't know really what that means in terms of wrestling, but he's obviously got a good wrestling background. So to me, I think he's going to try and wrestle me the whole fight. He seems to come out in his fights and kind of with the intention to trade shots. And I think I've seen the round of the Ultimate Fighter where him and his opponent are like screaming at each other, going banging their chins, that sort of thing. But I don't think he'll be doing that with me. I think he'll know that I'm the high level striker out of the two of us. So I think he's going to be trying to wrestle me the whole fight, which, it's not always the most fun. I'd like to put on a show for the crowd. This could be a fight of the night if he comes out with the style that he kind of came out with the Ultimate Fighter, or, with Jack Shore, where he keeps coming forward. So yeah, I welcome that. I welcome him to keep coming forward, and we will see how the fight goes. But I believe wherever the fight goes, if I submit him, if I knock him out, I'm going to be coming out winner.
And so you obviously said you have the striking advantage. Is that your game plan, to just try and keep it on the feet as much as you can? And if it does go to the ground, do you think you can hang with him and beat him on the ground too?
Yes and no. So I like to strike. I actually started with grappling. Grappling is my background, but I prefer to strike because I feel like that's the crowd wants. I like to be known as an entertaining fighter as well as just getting the win. So, my intention is always to put on an exciting fight. My fight with Casey Kenny was, in my eyes, I thought I'd won, but I hadn't. So, I'm not sure how the judges score the fights, but now I might have to start putting in some takedowns, etc., just to kind of, win the rounds as such. But for me, the takedown's always a kind of plan B. If I feel like I need to take the guy down, I will. Or obviously, if he takes me down, then I'll either try and sweep him or submit him. So, I'll see how I feel on the fight. But yeah, I always like to put on an entertaining fight, and I think the crowd want to see knockouts.
Now, obviously, UFC London, they've been stacking the card. They've just announced tons of fights, some really exciting ones. So I just want to go through some of the bigger fights, and we can talk about each of the ones. And obviously, we can get your prediction. Obviously, I can assume you're going to say the British fighter, but we can talk about the fight. So obviously, the main event that's come together is Tom Aspinall versus Volkov. What are your thoughts on that fight?
Great fight. Obviously, it's a huge step for Tom Aspinall, especially being the main event. I don't think he's even fought with a crowd in the UFC. I think every fight's been in Abu Dhabi. But yeah, I think he's a huge talent. I think he's going to rise to the occasion, and I think Tom Aspinall is going to smash it.
And then a fight that was rumored for a while, and we finally got it, was Dan Hooker making his return to 145 and fighting Arnold Allen. What are your thoughts on that one?
That's a great fight. I was a big fan of Dan Hooker, but I got to go with my boy Arnold Allen. He's obviously, I think he's 8-0 in the UFC. I've known of him since way before the UFC. So, I think he went pro just as I started my amateur career back on the local scene. So, to see him fighting Dan Hooker, that's a big step, and I think that's what he deserves. I think he's he deserves it. He's 8-0 in the UFC now, so that's a pretty amazing record to rack up. So, I wish him luck, and I look forward to seeing him get the win.
And now we have a fighter making his debut. He's very talked about as Mohammed Makaya versus Cody Durden. What are your thoughts on that fight?
So Makaya I've trained with, and he's a good lad, man. He's got very good potential. Very nice kid, very humble. So yeah, I'm excited to see him in the UFC division, and he's had a crazy amount of fights. I think he had like 21 amateur fights or something like that. So, I'm excited to see how he gets on, and I've got no doubt that he'll come out victorious.
And now we have a fellow Cage Warriors fighter, Jack Shore. He is fighting Valeo. He's also a bantamweight. So what are your thoughts on that fight?
If I'm honest, I haven't seen anything of Jack Shaw's opponent. So hard for me to comment on who I think that will win. Obviously, I think that he's 17-2, so he's obviously got a good record. So yeah, I'm excited to see how he'll get on and see if he can get the win.
Now, you guys are both in the same division. Do you think there could be a fight between you guys maybe in the future when you're further up in the rankings?
Yeah, so Jack Shaw's been talked about for opponent wise with me for ages, even when I was in Cage Warriors. He's fam don't like me. So yeah, 100% that's a fight that we can get on in the future. It's a fight that I would like, so it's just about whether the UFC want to see it or not. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the fights that I want are the fights that are going to get me that next stage. So I have no idea how the rankings are at the moment because I've been out for like a year and a half. I think actually they took me out of bantamweight and put me in the featherweight rankings. So because my last fight was a catch weight.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see where the guys are ranked. But yeah, I want to ideally, work my way up that ladder. So if Jack Shaw's above me, amazing. If he's not, cool. Wish him all the best. I want to, knock up that ladder. So obviously, Liudvik's not, I don't think, ranked. But I've been out for a year and a half, so I would literally take whoever the UFC give me. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this fight goes, and then, I want to start working my way up that division.
Is there an opponent in mind if you do win this fight that you want to call out in the rankings? Or
so I still want that fight with Chito Vera. We've had back and forth for a while, and I think I'd absolutely smash him. So yeah, he's a fight that I would like. I've been asking for that for a long time. He was even giving me back and forth saying let's fight them, but it never happened. So yeah, but I've got to work my way up. He's come off a knockout win against Frankie Edgar, so I know that he's going to be in the same mindset as I am, as he wants to work his way up. So in regards to that, nothing but respect to him. But yeah, he's someone that I'd love to punch in the face.
Now, there's a prospect in the bantamweight division who's talked about a lot, Adrian Ynez. What are your thoughts on him and maybe a potential opponent down the line as well?
Yeah, I've seen the name floating about. I haven't seen any of his fights. But yeah, if it's an exciting fight, and is he ranked? Is he?
I don't think he is ranked currently, but he has some really good wins right now. So he just fought Davy Grant.
Oh, okay, yeah, Davy Grant. Yeah, I know him. So yeah, if the UFC like that fight, then yeah, I mean, if it's an exciting matchup, then I'd love to get it on.
So let's continue on the UFC London talk. We have a very talked about prospect in the British scene. It's Paddy Pimblett, and he's fighting Vargas. What are your thoughts on that fight for Paddy Pimblett?
So I think it's a tough fight. I think he's very good. I think Paddy's very game though. I think he's someone that in his fights can make mistakes, but he's obviously got the right mindset. He can take a shot, and especially like with his last fight, he got rocked quite hard from what I could see, but he came back and then got the knockout. So that's obviously just shows that he's got the heart, he's got the right mindset. So especially being in his not his hometown, but in London, in his country, I think he'll get the win.
Now, I want to move to a segment that I do. It's called Quick Fire, and it's just short answers, and some have to do with fighting, some have to do with you just personally.
Yep.
So what is your favorite sport outside of combat sports?
Football, soccer.
Football. What's your team for that one?
So I support Chelsea. Although I'm not a diehard fan. I probably couldn't even say that I support Chelsea. If you ask me how many people to name on the team, I don't really watch it, but I love kicking the ball about, and the game that I was playing when I was growing up as a kid.
Do you have a favorite movie or a favorite few movies that you love?
Favorite movie, I do like a John Wick. That's where I got my dog from. John Wick 3, I think it was, where she's got the Belgian Malinois. That's what I've got. So, yeah, John Wick's probably one of my favorite films to watch. And you could sit there on your phone and just watch them fighting and action for the whole film and not miss a thing. So, yeah, I like that movie.
Now, obviously, you mentioned your dog. You posted a little bit about your dog on your social medias. Do you have a favorite social media that you like to use? Instagram, TikTok?
My favorite social media is Instagram. That's kind of what I've mainly, promoted the most as me as a fighter. But I'm enjoying TikTok, man. TikTok's a good laugh, and I think a lot of people are knocking it, but don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite TV show?
Game of Thrones.
It's
gotta be Game.
It's a very common answer from MMA fighters.
Yeah, mate, that series was like no other. So I'm looking forward to seeing they're bouncing back, aren't they? They're doing the prequel. So
I honestly haven't seen it. So.
Oh, mate.
I'll watch it. Yeah. Do you have a favorite meal that you can have in training camp? Obviously, you have restrictions on your diet during training camp. Do you have a favorite meal?
I love a Nando's, which is chicken. It's a chicken shop.
Yeah.
So we go have like, chicken and if my weight's good, I'll have some peri chips with it or something like that. So for me, that's a kind of healthy cheat meal. I'm getting some goodness in it as well as a full belly.
And when you're not in camp and you can eat whatever you like, do you still like Nando's still your favorite meal, or do you like something else?
To be honest, it's still probably one of my favorite meals, but the sides will be a lot more naughty than what I get in during a fight camp. But I love all food, man. I like a Chinese takeaway. I like pizza. I like a curry. Yeah, I'm a fat man at heart.
Have you ever had an interaction with a fan that will always stand out to you, whether it's in person or over social media?
I think I'd say the first time I've ever been noticed outside of like a fight venue, or so I was on the train and someone said, "Hey, yeah, Nathaniel Wood," and that was quite cool. That was It was quite awkward. I was a bit like, "Oh, this guy, I don't know him. He's coming up and talking to me." But it was a nice feeling, when I left, I was thinking like, man, I've made it, that's it. I'm at the big, so yeah, that was quite a cool feeling.
And do you get recognized a lot more now in London?
Occasionally, I sometimes get some on the train. I guess because I'm just sitting there and, someone's looking at you and might clock who you are. At a fight event, yes, but, in just the normal day world, not really, nothing crazy, which I prefer. I don't ever want fame. I'd like the money that comes with it, but I don't ever want any paparazzi or anything like that. It's not for me. So I'd rather be left alone and get on with my life.
Now there's obviously a controversial topic recently. I've seen a few interviews where you've talked about it, but fighter pay seems to be a very open topic in the MMA world. So what are your thoughts on fighter pay right now?
So this is the thing, like I said with the comment that I made before. I'm happy with my money. Do you know what I mean? Like the money that I get paid, and I don't get nothing crazy. I'm not getting millions of pounds or hundreds of thousands of pounds. I've got no pay-per-view rights, anything like that. I'm happy with my paycheck. I'm earning a hell of a lot more money than I was on the promotions before. I'm earning a hell of a lot more money than I would be on a building site. With my fighter pay, it's allowed me to get a mortgage. It's allowed me to get a nice car. It's allowed me to get a Rolex. And I would never have got any of those things working at my previous job doing building work. So for me, it was more of a post to try and say to the public, the fans, that not all of us are sitting here shouting for millions and millions of pounds, because at the end of the day, I'm generally doing what I love for a living. To me, I'm not working. I'm playing. This is my sport. I get to wake up, go and train with my friends for a couple of hours, go home, walk my dog, go back to training, play for a couple of hours. Yeah, we do have to cut weight. There is more to it where it's harder that people don't see. But to me, you're going to pay me a good chunk of money to do what I love. I ain't moaning about it. Do you see what I'm saying? And then, you get the people obviously that saying, yeah, but the UFC earn this amount of money and you should be getting that cut. At the end of the day, that's not my issue. I don't I don't go to Starbucks and say, hey guys, how much money do you make and how much do you pay your staff? You know, I don't go over to, Nike and say, right, you're a multi-billionaire company, but how much do you pay your people that make your trainers? You know, they're not going to pay them. And for me, the UFC has been around for 28 years. I don't care how much money they're making. I don't care how much money they put into the business. I don't care how hard it is for them to make this London show go ahead. All I know is that they're paying me an amount of money which I'm happy with and are giving me the platform to do what I love. So it wasn't anything against anyone else. It was just, guys, look, I'm happy with my money. You know, people that are asking for silly amounts of money. I won't mention names, but like, you know, there's champions that are like not happy unless they're earning 10 million. And it's just like crazy, man. I'm like, who needs that much money? You know, I just think, you know, be grateful. And it was kind of like it's a positive message to say, look, you know, I think, guys, we're earning a lot of money. Like, we're earning more than what I'm earning more than what emergency services are earning, who are risking their lives, saving people's lives, you know. And then I get all the people saying, oh, you know, but you should be earning this much. And it's like, I had someone tell me, oh, you're going to take brain damage and all this. And I was like, well, I'm trying to not take brain damage. You know, I'm trying to avoid that. But it's the risk we take doing what we love for a living. So, you know, for me, it was just, I was trying to shed some positivity, and then a lot of people just bounce back and just, you know, try to just attack me for it. It's like, geez, calm down, guys. You know, but yeah, it is what it is.
And so let's obviously you have this fight. After this fight, if you win or lose, how many times do you want to fight this year? 1, 2, 3 more times? Like, what's your plan? And what's your goal by the end of the year? Where do you want to be?
For me, I'd like to fight as many times as I can. If I'm honest, I could fight every single weekend. I love the competition. It's great fun for me. I really enjoy it. However, the cutting weight isn't as enjoyable and it's a lot harder. So for me, unless I literally had a fight booked in like a month after this fight, my weight, where it would go back up, I would probably need a few months to fight. So I would try to get 3 fights at least this year. 3 fights, 3 wins, and I'm happy. Anything less than that, and I'll be a bit like, you know, a bit annoyed again. But yeah, if I had it my way, I'd like to fight 4 times a year. But yeah, you know, that's quite a big ask, and especially if I'm racking up some good wins, then, you know, 3 fights I'll be happy with.
And do you have a goal by the end of the year? Top 15, top 10? Like, where do you want to be by the end of the year?
Yeah, this year for sure, I'd like to be in them rankings. So whether that's the top 15 or top 10, you know, I'll obviously fight Liudvik, get the win, and then I'd like to fight someone, you know, ranked higher than me and take their spot. So I'd like to think that walking into 2023, I'll be in that top 10 division and being spoke about in getting opponents in that top 5 category.
All right, man, that's all I have to ask. I want to thank you so much for coming on, and good luck for your fight coming up.
You're welcome, mate, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Pet and McCorry Sports Show. You can catch Nathaniel Wood's fight on March 19th. He is fighting Liudvik Sholinian. It will be an awesome fight. And you can check out my sponsor, Headrush. They were kind enough to send me a bunch of clothing and sponsor my show. Their website will be in the description below. They sell beautiful clothes. They have sponsored some of your favorite fighters, Dustin Poirier, Carlos Condit, Chuck Liddell, so many more, Showtime Pettis. And it's affordable. It's not outrageous prices like 50 euros for a t-shirt, $50 for a t-shirt. It's 20, 25. It's not bad at all. Trust me, you want some. It's awesome. It's very comfortable. Thank you so much for watching. And you can check out my next interview soon. Peace out.